Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us. We are brought to you again by Russell and Associates, and this week we'll start out by talking men's basketball with head coach Todd Eisner. And before we get to the games, I just want to say thank you to you and to everybody at Winona State for being involved in helping me celebrate 1,000 games at HBC, and thank you for being involved in the video, Coach.
That was our pleasure, Justin. Congrats again. Amazing accomplishment. That's a full career, and now you get to year 44 and get to 2,000 broadcasts. So that's what we're counting on next.
I hope so, and I hope it doesn't take that long. I hope it's a little less than that. So, but this weekend, and I'll start out. I've never done this before. We're doing this before the NSIC honors come out, but I have to imagine Alec Rosner is going to get NSIC Player of the Week in the South Division. Just two great games by Alec Rosner this weekend.
Well, I guess it would be a crime if he doesn't get it. I mean, he averaged 28 points a game over the weekend, and he kind of twisted it around a little bit in that he had been really good on Saturdays here the last couple of weekends, and started out the weekend with an unbelievable performance against Mary, and we needed every bit of it. He's played very well all year, and I think what he's finding out is he's becoming a marked man in the league, and so he's taking everybody's best punch. They're putting their best defender on him. They did it this weekend. He's going to see it again this weekend when we get to Augie. They're going to put LeBrun on him, and that was kind of Kev's nemesis when we played Augie in the past. And but he's handling it very well. He's shooting the ball well. Now he's getting more aggressive attacking as they start to pressure him and get into the free throw line some. And so he's at a really good first, whatever it's been, 20 games, give or take. And we need him to finish the year strong. And we ask a lot of him every day on both ends of the floor, and we're going to need to continue to do that.
Well, that makes it even more impressive that he continues to set career highs, having the best person on the other team guard him. Your thoughts kind of overall, I guess we usually have that question first, but your thoughts overall on the weekend on the two wins?
Well, it's getting to that time of the year where you just take the wins. You need to do whatever you can to win games. We're fighting for postseason play. We're fighting for postseason position. They changed the NSIC tournament up a little bit this year, that they're only taking 12 teams. Not everybody gets into the postseason. So it's the top 6 teams in each division. And, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, I think we were in 7th, and now we're in 3rd. So, and 3 through 7 is all bunched up. And so every game is going to be really, really important. These games this past weekend were really important to keep us moving in the right direction. And so you want to make sure you appreciate that, and that's the end. That's the bottom line. But we've got a lot of things we got to get better at. We're not defending very well. We're not defending very well inside. Teams are taking advantage of that. We're going to see the 2 best post players in the NSIC South this weekend. So that's a major concern. Obviously, going into the weekend, we've got to clean some things up there. But overall, a good weekend. Anytime you can win 2 at home, it was a really good weekend.
And you shot amazingly well, which, as you said, you kind of needed, because defensively, maybe you weren't at your best, but shooting wise, I think at one point in Mary, you were shooting over 65% in one of the halves, which is just incredible. But that means that you had a lot of players that were stepping up, and you had Luke Martins again, and Devin Whiteblow and Connor Drew. It's kind of the same names that we say over and over again, but those were the players that really helped you out this weekend.
Yeah, it started out really strong. we were on fire early. I think we were up 27-12, and in those 12 points, they had 8 of them off second chance points, and so we were playing really well at both ends of the floor, and I think we got a little complacent, to be real honest with you. Mary continues to get better and better. Obviously, Huntsberry is a really good player. We had a hard time stopping him, and Mayer, who did not play against us the first time, was 5 of 5 inside. We like I said, defensively, we weren't very good. Offensively, we really shot it well on Friday night, and actually had a lot of great looks on Saturday night from the 3, and they just didn't go down. So, last 3 games, Justin, we've been really, really good offensively. My concern is that, on the road, you better be really good defensively, because a lot of times you're not quite as good on the offensive end of the floor when you go to visiting gyms. So, those are some things that as a coach you're concerned about. But offensively, we've been doing some really good things. And the other part, we've been sharing the basketball really, really well. We had 20 assists up at Northern. We had 17 assists on Saturday. Not turning it over, but also making plays for our teammates, which I think has helped us a lot in the last 3 games offensively.
And has that been a focus to try to share the ball a little bit more? I mean, I know Devin Whitelow has always been up there in assists, and that's been a big part of his game. But is that a big focus to try to pump up the offense a little bit more by sharing?
Well, I think it just makes the game easier. I think Al's going to draw a lot of attention to himself. So at the end of the day, if he draws a lot of attention to himself, that means other teammates are going to be open. Owen King on Saturday had 7 assists and no turnovers. So he's obviously making the extra pass and making the game easier for his teammates. So, and that's always been Dev's focal point. So, if you get a couple guys on the perimeter that can find their teammates when they're open, where they're open, and give them easier opportunities to score, that's going to make everything else easier for us on the offensive end. So we've got guys that will do it. It's not a problem getting them to do it. It's just we've done it better the last 3 games, and it's made us much better offensively.
All right, and then let's talk a little bit about the Minot State game, because that was kind of it was a game that you guys ended up winning 80-67, but you shot well from the free throw line, which is another thing that we've talked about all season long, being able to get to the free throw line and then making your shots when you get those chances. Talk in general about what you saw against Minot State.
Well, we had some concerns. They were very good offensively. I think they were shooting 52% as a team in league play coming into our game, and I think they ended up shooting 52%. And again, just struggled to defend inside. The big boy for Minot was 9 of 10 from the floor. Newbern was 8 of 13. Eli Cave came off the bench, and I think was 6 of 10. So there's 3 guys right there that scored at way too efficient of a clip for us. But I thought the key to the game, though, was really defensively on Max Cody and Dunphy and some of the perimeter guys that had shot the ball really well. We did a great job defensively on the perimeter. And then offensively, like I said, I thought we got some really good looks. We just didn't knock shots down. And I'll live with that. Offensively, I thought we executed at a high level, got really good looks. It was just a night, I think we were 9 of 31 or something like that from the 3. So, but it wasn't a night where we took a lot of bad ones. So we can get good shots. I really have a lot of confidence in 1 through 5, all of our guys being able to knock down the 3. And if we do that, it opens up everything else for us. So, it was, like I said, Minot's a tough team to guard. They took advantage of some of the things that we don't do well right now and got to get better at. But yeah, we did enough on the offensive end to figure out a way to get a sweep for the weekend.
And then the other thing too is you're getting a little bit more production from your bench, both offensively and defensively. I know that that's something that we talked about earlier in the season, that they kind of had to prove themselves in practice first to get minutes on the floor, and then you have to prove yourself on the floor in order to get more minutes. How has that been going so far?
Yeah, I thought Friday night we didn't get a great lift off our bench other than Connor Dillon. Obviously scored it at a real good clip on Friday. And then I thought Saturday they came in and gave us a really good lift to a man. I thought Nick Klug gave us a good lift. Obviously Drew Adams had probably his best overall game. He had 3 offensive rebounds, scored 10 points. I think Connor's continuing to feel a little more comfortable and is getting a little more healthy. And then Carson late in the game gave us a couple offensive rebound, extra possessions. So, that's a tough role at the end of the day to come off a bench. But as I mentioned to them, I mean, their job is to lift us up and certainly not keep us the same or bring us down. I mean, they got to add something to the equation when they come into the game. And you do that by playing hard and competing and doing all the little things right. And then the fun stuff usually happens by itself, which to them, in their mind, is always scoring. So, I thought both nights we got good contributions. Like I said, Connor was really good on Friday night. Drew was really good on Saturday night in terms of his activity and was able to score because of it. And that'll be beneficial to us. Obviously, playing back-to-back nights, it's really important that you get contributions from your bench.
All right. I want to get this in quick before we run out of time, but it was alumni weekend also this weekend. So you had a lot of former players come in, and Tracy Hale from Winona State said that she thought this was the best attended alumni event as far as basketball goes for both men and women. What did you think of alumni coming back this weekend?
Yeah, Tracy does a lot of work for us. We really appreciate her time and her energies to organize this. And then Pat Hayes, who's one of the old school guys, I think takes a lot of pride in trying to round up as many guys as possible. I think we had 18 guys back this past weekend. I think 10 or 11 of them were guys that I've been fortunate to coach. So it was great to see them. It wasn't really public record, but I wasn't involved much, Justin. I got knocked down with COVID last week and tested positive. So I had to kind of stay away from the guys, which was disappointing because I wanted to spend some time with them certainly after the game. And got a chance to talk to him from a distance a little bit, and was fortunate just to be able to coach this weekend. But today's my last day of the 10 days of kind of trying to stay away from people. But it was great to have those guys back, especially, like I said, at the end of the day, the guys that I've been fortunate enough to coach here. So it's always great to have them back once a year, and we'd love to come back as often as they can.
Yeah, it was great to see them there as well, and got to sit and watch a lot of that game, and it was fun to watch them back out on the court again. Brought back a lot of great memories. All right, let's talk. Let's look ahead to next weekend as you take on the road against Augustana and Wayne. And you didn't get to play these guys earlier in the season; those games were canceled because of COVID. So, what does it take to scout these guys right now and get ready for these games when you didn't get to see them earlier in the year?
Yeah, I mean, good and bad. Augie is playing really, really well. They're 17-2. A lot of veteran guys in their starting five. Adam Dykman's in his 7th year of college and playing really, really well. And Riemersma at the 5 is playing probably the best of anybody in the league right now. So it's a huge challenge on our front line, which, like I said, we've struggled to defend at a high level there on a consistent basis. So the good thing is they don't change anything. I mean, they have their system, they run it, you know what they're going to run, and they just say, can you stop it? Transition D is going to be big, post D is going to be big. Like I said, on the road is going to be really, really tough. They just beat Duluth by 9 here last weekend at home and had them down 19. So anytime you're doing that to Duluth, you know you're playing at a high level. And then Wayne State has the reigning, South Player of the Year in Jordan Jansen, who's another 5-man who's just tremendous. And we've struggled against Wayne. We match up with them fine. We're 1-7 against them in the last 4 years and lost, I think, 3 overtime games. And we just haven't done enough to figure out a way to be the better team on that particular day. So we're a half a game ahead of Wayne right now in the standings. So that's a huge game on Saturday. And obviously we have a huge challenge Friday playing the best team in the South when we go to Augie on Friday night.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck this weekend, and we appreciate the time and insight into what happened last weekend. And we hope to talk to you again after a couple more wins this weekend.
We'll see you next Monday, Justin. I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach. We're going to take a break here on Warrior Fast Break. When we come back, we'll talk Warrior women's basketball with head coach Scott Ballard right after this. And welcome back to Warriors Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates. And time now to talk women's basketball with head coach Scott Ballard. You have a 4-game winning streak. We mentioned on the broadcast, it seems like you guys are playing your best basketball of the season. I imagine you would agree with me, but maybe you might not. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I would. I felt like 3 weeks ago when we were getting ready to play St. Cloud and Duluth, I felt like those 2 games would either make us or break us. And what I mean by that is I felt like we would either rise to the challenge and start playing some better basketball and compete a lot harder from a physicality standpoint, or it would cause us to spiral into mediocrity. And even though we lost both of those games, and I had to watch from home, that's when I had to quarantine. We played 3 quarters against each of those teams, dead even. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, we had a bad quarter in each game that we could not overcome because of the quality of the opponent, and we didn't shoot the ball well enough or take care of the ball well enough or rebound well enough. But that kind of kick-started us into playing at a higher level. And I think that's shown up the past 2 weekends. But a lot of things have started to occur or evolve with our team. I listened to the replay of our game on Saturday. And I heard you make a comment about, we were having trouble gelling early in the season, whatever. But actually what happened is that the second week of the conference schedule, we lost 4 players, either to a season-ending injury or sickness, and they missed a couple games. And our bench wasn't ready to assume bigger roles at that particular time. Well, fast forward, what's transpired over the last 3 weeks is a combination of things. Our defense has gotten better. Our bench has improved. Our outside shooting has improved. Our rebounding has improved. And our ball security has improved. And I've always said, regardless of your style of play or who you're playing or where you're playing, if you defend, rebound, take care of the ball, make your free throws, you're going to have a chance to win on a nightly basis. And that's honestly what has started to occur. Now we'll find out, we're done playing the North Division schools, and we ended up 5-3 against them. Well, now we have 6 remaining games, and those 6 teams that we play, we were 1-5 against them the first go around. Well, we kind of have some stability now. We're playing with confidence. We have more depth. We're just doing a lot of things much better now on a consistent basis than we did in the early part of the conference schedule for various reasons. But we're just starting to grow up.
Well, I know one of the things that we were talking about this weekend as well, that we were really impressed with and thought might be another benchmark for your team, is that the assists have gone up, especially the second game. 25 assists in your second game, which is great.
Well, we knew that Minot's transition defense was suspect. And we thought if we did a really good job defensively and on the boards where we could get some stops, that there'd be a lot of transition opportunities. And there was. I mean, you look at that first quarter and, we put 29 points up in the first quarter, and Minot didn't know what hit them. But it was because defensively we were really, really strong. We were good on the boards, and we created transition opportunities and made the right decisions, made the right pass, got it to the right person, and finished with a score. Well, then your assists are going to go up. I mean, Friday night was a real dogfight with Mary because a couple of our players had off nights scoring the ball. Taylor Husted, I think, was 1 for 10. Maddie Shemins was 1 for 7. Well, we're used to getting more production point-wise from them than that, but they both still contributed a great deal on the defensive end, taking care of the ball, rebounding, and then their teammates picked them up. We got a lot of production from the bench both games this weekend. I know in particular, now that we look back on how Friday's game with Mary ended, where we won by 4 points, but Naomi Bryant, who hasn't played a lot of minutes, a freshman, she comes off the bench and goes 2 for 2 at the free throw line. Lindsey Hahn hit a 3. There's 5 points right there from 2 freshmen off the bench that you look back on it, it's like, if we didn't have those 5 points, we have to play the last minute of the game differently. So we got contribution from them, from Alex Dornfeld has been playing well the last couple of weeks. Vanessa Alexander, I could go on. And it was a lot of fun Saturday because of the big lead that our bench played the entire fourth quarter. There's not very many games in conference schedule where you have that opportunity to get those kids those minutes. And it's like, if the game would have been closer, it would have been interesting to see if Caitlin Riley would have broken that single game 3-point record, because she was on fire. But there's no need to take a chance on somebody getting hurt when the game is in hand. And it's doubly important to get those younger kids as many quality game minutes as possible to, accelerate their learning curve.
Well, and, we were talking during the game, marveling at the fact that you had that whole quarter that you can put your bench in there. And not only did they perform, but they kept the lead. And so it was never in question where you thought, oh, maybe he's going to have to bring the starters back in. They played so well that you were able to leave them in that whole quarter. Yeah. What did you see from your bench in that fourth quarter?
I seen a group that played much better defensively and harder than what they were before Christmas. It's almost all freshmen. Mm-hmm. I know when the third quarter ended, Coach Wirtz, she asked me, she said, should we play the starters for a couple minutes, And I said, no, not unless they put their starters back in, because Minot had subbed a lot of their bench at the end of the third quarter. It's like, okay, as long as they leave them out there, then I'm comfortable with this. Mm-hmm. And so that's basically what happened. They ended up sprinkled in a couple of their, main rotation kids, but they never had more than one or two of them out there at a time. So we were fine. And that was a fun evening, not just because we won by a lopsided margin, but it was also alumni night. And so we had about 12 or 13 of our former players that I had the privilege of coaching. All of them. You talk about getting older. But that was a lot of fun, brought back a lot of good memories. And, that's the only game that most of them get to see this year. So we put on a good show for them, and they enjoyed it and had a lot to talk about afterwards. But, Minot a week ago had just beaten Mankato and Concordia. But we caught them on an off night, and they caught us on our best night offensively of the year. And that's why it turned out lopsided. It's possible that we could end up playing each other again in the playoffs. So I know their coach told me, he's new, their staff is new. And at shoot around, I asked him, I said, how was the trip? He goes, it was extremely long. And I said, well, now you know why we only do it every other year, because it takes that long to recover from it. But I told him, I said, it could have been worse. He goes, how? I said, weather. If you didn't have to deal with any bad roads, then, that's a good thing on a trip that long.
Exactly. I like that you mentioned playoffs, because we kind of have to look towards that a little bit. You're in fourth place in the NSIC South. You've got some big games coming up this weekend on the road against Augustana and Wayne. Augustana, who you lost to earlier in the season in a close game, and Wayne, who you beat earlier in the season in a close game. What do you think will be different in the matchup between those two teams this weekend?
Well, the one big thing that'll be different is where the games are played. We're going to be on the road this time. And, both teams haven't changed much from what they were doing the first time we played them. They're just trying to be more consistent and get better at what they do. Augie was picked to win our division, and they got off to an 0-5 start. Well, they're 6-2 since then. And another thing that has kind of factored into all this is that they lost playing some games against some schools in our league that dealt with some COVID issues. Mm-hmm. They didn't play Minot. They didn't play Crookston. And they didn't play Moorhead. So those are three games that they lost off of their conference schedule that fortunately we got to play because we won those. But, we were in seventh place for the longest time until the last 2 weeks. And it goes to show you how much difference a couple 2-0 weekends can make. We moved up 3-4 spots in 2 weekends. But, there's still 6 games left. We're we're all playing each other. There's a lot of movement that could take place. So if we can go on the road, this will be our last long road trip of the season. But if we can go on the road and have some success this weekend, that would really bode well for us going into the last 4 games, with 3 of them being at home.
You talked about Caitlin Riley and the hot hand that she had against Minot at the beginning of the game. You know, it's hard to look in your crystal ball and see, but do you foresee her possibly breaking that school record of 9 3-pointers in a game, or because she's had 6 before.
She's certainly capable. What I've seen from Caitlin this past weekend, and to a certain extent the weekend before, that her shot selection is getting better. I mean, she was 6 of 7 from 3-point on Saturday and had a decent shooting game on Friday. But I remember on Friday, she hit a ridiculous late clock shot right before halftime. You know, probably 2 steps behind the top of the key. That was a backbreaker because the clock was running down. But, you know, those shots like that are shots that you take when you have to. But sometimes she takes those shots when she doesn't need to because there's more time to work with. And so I felt really good about making a big deal out of her shot selections past weekend. I mean, you know, she shot 75% on Saturday night and, 50% on Friday. It's like I told her, so when you take good shots, you're going to shoot a good percentage because you're a good shooter. So her showing patience and better shot selection, that is something that's a big deal to me moving forward with her, because she can be a dynamic scorer. I mean, I think she averaged 18 points a game this past weekend. But her defense is getting better too, which means that we can leave her out there for longer periods of time. And so, I mean, she's still got 2 years eligibility left. She's got plenty of time to take a shot at that record, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if she would accomplish that. But you know, it's never a goal going into a game. It's just something that happens. You know, and her teammates knew where she was, and they got her the ball at the right time. And it's all about teamwork and execution.
Yeah, I think it was Maddie Shemens had a couple of those assists, and the way that she found Caitlin at the 3-point line, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, both games this weekend, you know, it's like Friday night, Taylor Husted and Maddie are 2 for 17 between them, but Emily Keek and Emma and Dornfeld, they and Caitlin Riley, they picked them up. Mm-hmm. And then Saturday, it was like Keek only scores 4 points. It wasn't because she was cold or off. It's because we got in transition so many times. She's passing it to 3-point shooters that were knocking down shots. And then Emma and Tay, you know, they were like, I think between them, they were like, oh my gosh, they had to be like 15 to 17 from the field. And, when you start getting that kind of balanced scoring and contribution and people picking each other up and the bench getting better, we feel pretty good about ourselves right now where we're at.
All right. Well, thank you again for the time this week, and good luck on the road this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. And thank you for watching Warrior Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. We'll see you next week.